Hello, and I hope you're all having a beautiful day. So today I actually wanted to talk about my own origin story and how my own journey started and how I ended up converting that to my career essentially. And now I help women on a daily basis overcome binge eating, the all or nothing mentality, build their confidence back up and truly step into their fullest potential. And the reason that I do this and the reason I'm so passionate about it is because I have been that woman. I have been the woman that starts over every Monday, tracks and over restricts her calories, and then goes to the other end of the spectrum where I was just binge eating and I felt like I had no control. I felt like I had no confidence. I always thought that there was something wrong with me and that I just was never going to be like the other gym girls that you might see online or whatever, because I didn't have that structure and I didn't have that control. But once I realized that that actually came down to me to fix and that I did have control, and it wasn't about a lack of discipline or a lack of willpower, but more so a lack of education and a lack of understanding of what actually works for me and how this needs to benefit my lifestyle, my mindset, which is the main thing, because I always speak about how your mindset is going to be the dictator of whether you achieve the goals that you want to achieve or whether you're not going to, okay? And definitely I struggle with my mindset, especially around food, and my relationship with food was for such a long time that it completely killed my confidence when it came to dieting or anything else, because I just constantly felt like I didn't have that control and I was never getting to where I want to be until I learned, until I actually gained control over the situation and I moved forward. And yeah, that's exactly what I do now. And I've worked with over 800 women over the years to help them become more confident, overcome that binge eating cycle, overcome that all or nothing mentality, thinking you have to eat super healthy in order to see results, and actually teach them and educate them on how it is actually done. And yeah, one thing that I definitely wasn't ready for myself, and I know a lot of women starting their health and fitness journey aren't ready for, is the identity shift that comes with it. You have to become the person that you want to be, okay? And you have to show up like that person, and how you choose to show up for yourself is very much so going to be up here as well. So yeah, in terms of my background, I actually always struggled with gaining weight, and it was not something I was worried about until I ruined my relationship with food, and it got to such a low point that the weight was coming on, I didn't have any control, and I just felt so insecure all the time. And essentially when I started, I did everything. I trained every single day. I would do 100 squats a day to try and grow my glutes until I realized none of that was actually working for me. I would eat super good Monday to Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday would fall out the window because obviously I felt so restricted during the week that I felt the need to overindulge then at the weekends. Yeah, a couple of years into my journey, I actually done a photo shoot, and that ruined everything for me. I invested in a coach who was quite cheap, and I thought this is an amazing deal. They're going to get me in the best shape of my life and I'm going to feel great. But it actually ended up backfiring, and that was the one thing that ruined my relationship with food completely, because the coach restricted me, they overtrained me, they done everything that I am completely against now, and it took me years and years and years to overcome that. And that's the main thing that I want to highlight here as well, is because it's easy to reach out for support, and we often find, like this is the cheapest option or this is the best option, it makes most sense for me. But do your research, make sure that the coach you're investing to, if you choose to invest in a coach, actually knows what they're talking about. Because for me, I made that mistake, and unfortunately I had to pay the consequences for years afterwards. So basically I was under eating massively, really restrictive. Because I was doing this photo shoot, I sort of powered through it, but what came with it? I lost my cycle, and your cycle is your number one indicator of your health. My energy was awful. I was personal training already in the gym at this time, and I was literally sitting in the gym falling asleep in between clients. I wasn't showing up with my best potential out there. I wasn't being the best coach out there. I wasn't a nice person to be around. I was moody, I was grumpy, and all of this came down to that restriction. So coming out of that, it wasn't sustainable. I started binge eating like crazy. I felt like I had no control. I completely lost my own self. And that weight I had lost came on 5 times as quickly after that. And that's when I really started to struggle. And like I said, it took me years to overcome that. But I did overcome it. And I actually had to do all the opposite things of what I was being told to do at the time. I started building my calories up very gradually, went into a reverse diet. I had to see the weight come on a little bit. Again, because my body was adjusting to everything. I went from training 7 days a week and doing cardio 7 days a week to doing basically no cardio at all and only training 5 days a week, which is still a lot, but at the time, to me, it felt like absolutely nothing. Now, years in, I only train 4 days a week, and I barely ever track my calories because I've built such a healthy relationship with food, and I don't restrict myself in any way. And I'm actually probably the most confident and the leanest I have ever been in a long time now, because I'm actually able to maintain it and I've just made it a part of my lifestyle, which is key. Your health and fitness journey should complement your life, not complicate it, okay? If it's taken away from your career, your family life, if you feel like you have no time for yourself, if you're constantly burnt out, if you're stressing about all the things you have to do tomorrow, then whatever approach you're taking is not going to work for you. If you don't see yourself doing it 6 months down the line or 6 years down the line, don't even attempt it, okay? You need something that's going to be sustainable for you. So it might only be 2 workouts a week for yourself at the minute. You want to eat dinner with your family, with your friends. You shouldn't be cooking separate dinners for yourself. You should definitely not drinking shakes instead of having a dinner. You know, you shouldn't be doing any of that. And like I said, I've done it all before to understand how detrimental it is to your health. And yeah, how unsustainable it is as well, because it's not something that you'll be able to do forever. And a lot of women think, oh, I'll lose the weight and then like I'll be able to maintain it, I'll just return back to normal. No, you are wrong. You will not be able to maintain it, because as soon as you start eating normally again, and not even bad, just normally, you will put the weight back on. You will have ruined your relationship with food in the meantime. So you will always have that perception of this is good, this is bad, even though there's no such thing as good and bad foods. You just need to learn how to eat everything in moderation and in accordance to your goals as well, okay? That's the most important thing when it comes to your fat loss journey, your weight gain journey, no matter what journey you're on. Your goals need to be, your nutrition goals, your training goals need to be specific to you and what is realistic for your lifestyle, okay? So if you're only able to do 2 workouts a week, that's fine. But if you can still maintain that 2 workouts a week for the next 6 months, that's going to be a hell lot more workouts than you've ever done in the past. And that's the most important thing that I've learned over my own journey. And yeah, by actually taking that time to work on my relationship with food and pull back on those things, as hard as they were at the time, and don't get me wrong, I still messed up, I would still binge in between. That is totally normal, and you're almost always gonna have a rebound from that perspective, because you're learning to trust yourself again. You're learning to trust your body to give you the results that you want when you are doing something completely different to what you've been told in the past, where eat as little as possible, rely on salads, don't eat anything that you actually enjoy. You know, chocolate's bad for you. You should be training every single day, you should be walking every single day. When you're being told all of those things, it's really, really hard to actually trust yourself and your body to do more for you whenever you're actually doing less in general. But I can promise you that's exactly what I done, and that's exactly what I do with women on a day-to-day basis. And you will always hear me say about lifestyle, it needs to fit your lifestyle. If it doesn't fit your lifestyle, there's no point in doing it. And the reason I say that is because it works, and it's worked for those 800 women that I've worked with as well. They come out more confident, they come out trusting their body, they come out not under fueling or under eating anymore. They're actually eating more than ever before, but looking leaner and better overall. And that is the ultimate goal. Why would you want to eat as little as possible for fat loss when you could eat as much as possible for fat loss, you know? And it's all about that perspective and mindset. And once we have that mindset shift, that's where everything's going to begin to change for you. But it takes time to build that trust up, you know? So what's been the result of me actually doing all of these things? I've healed my relationship with food. It's taught me to be a better coach and resonate and be more empathetic with my clients as well, because I understand what they're going through. That's definitely the main thing and the most important thing for me, because if anybody knows, I love my job and I love seeing women actually level up. Another thing is I stopped looking at exercise as punishment, and I go and work out now because I love it. I love the gym, I enjoy it. You know, it's not something that I have to do just to stay in shape. No, I go and move my body because it makes me feel good. My energy, my sleep, my menstrual cycles are regular again every single month religiously. And like I said, your menstrual cycle is the biggest indicator of where your health is and where your hormone health is, which is all going to be in direct correlation with your diet as well, you know? So that's definitely the main things. Like, I will never be that woman again that has to restrict, because I've came out and seen how much greener the grass is on the other side, and that is so much more important than anything you ever do, you know? So yeah, I hope for anybody that's listening to this, if you are stuck in those cycles, trust me, I've been there, I understand, and it's a shit place to be, but you can also be in a much better position. You just have to do the things that actually feel good for your body. You don't have to punish yourself, and you don't have to constantly feel insecure. You don't have to do any of that. You just need the right support and the right structure in place to help you overcome this, okay? Don't trust everything you see online. Unfortunately, I've been there and I've done it, and it actually done more damage to me that took me years to overcome. Trust people with credible sources. Trust people that actually have walked the walk to be able to talk the talk. Trust people that don't ignore your lifestyle, your family, and understand that life will get in the way sometimes, because that's the reality of it, okay? Because those people are actually going to be the ones that teach you how to keep your results in the long run. Because in your life, you should only do one proper fat loss phase, okay? You should not be on a diet every couple of months leading up to a holiday or an event. You shouldn't have to do that, because you should know how to maintain it, and the only way to approach that is through a sustainable approach and a realistic approach. So yeah, I didn't want to keep this video too long, so that's my origin story, where I started, the mistakes I made, and how I actually overcame those, and yeah, how it's turned into my career path, which everyone knows I'm super passionate about, and why I coach women in the way that I do, because I know what works and I know what wasn't, and I've made the mistakes and I've fell for the myths and everything in the background as well. So I know how to help women overcome this as well, you know. So if you are stuck in the cycle, I can promise you, you don't have to be, and the grass is greener on the other side, ladies. But have a fabulous day, and I will get speaking to you all soon.